Now, a website could hurt too. If you have a website and you're Joe Plumber and your website is a terrible experience,
right?
That might be a negative to have a
Which
website.
A lot of them, I mean, you see way more than I do. A lot of websites are still super dated, aren't
They're
they?
terrible. It's one of
Even
those
new
things
ones
where
are terrible. Welcome back to the Give It Gas podcast. Today is special because we finally got Brian on the podcast. Welcome, man.
What's up, Travis? Good to be here.
We've been talking to Dylan, you and I. Okay, so a few things. Dylan doesn't have a mic today because poor Dylan. We got a third mic. We can't figure out how to, it's not wanting to hook up, so it is what it is. He may yell really loud. I'll bring the mic over. You can talk into it. Maybe. Maybe. We'll see. But we finally got Brian here. Dylan and I have been talking about doing this for forever. I think you're a huge asset, both in like our business, but also just collectively to our few listeners now, which will grow into a lot of listeners later. And if you get comfortable with this, we'll continue to grow. But I guess I'll start with backstory where I met you. It's been what, 2 years now?
Yeah, a couple years, a little more.
A little more.
Yep.
Time flies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you had a guy named Blake.
Yep.
Working for you at the time, and he reached out to me and he said, hey man, I got this guy, he's really good with ads, do you need help with ads? And being in the retail store, which, okay, surprisingly we don't get this anymore, but we used to get it all the time, like, hey, I'll come run your ads for you, this is our price, blah blah blah. So I was like, sure man, whatever, come on in, let's see what you got. I knew a little bit like the ins and outs of it because I've been trying to do it myself for so long. So I essentially knew who was like BSing me and who wasn't to a degree. So he's like, trust me, my guy's good. So you came in and you explained everything. And I was like, oh, this guy actually knows what he's doing. So Brian is the founder, owner, chief operating officer, chief executive officer, president, do all things of Searchalytics. And is it also Win Local? Like, is it both?
No, there was a company called, they're Win Local now,
Mm-hmm.
and they had the trademark for Win Local under SEO services, so we had to nix that one, redirect everything,
to
Win Local
Searchalytics.
back to Searchalytics. So yes, one name, which
One
is
name,
nice.
Which
Yeah.
is nice. It makes your life a whole lot
It's
easier.
harder to say and harder to spell than Win Local, harder to get referrals, but Searchalytics works as the one brand.
So, Searchalytics, you do ads, but you do a whole lot more. Let's back up a little bit, and let's start like where you started. So, how did you even get into this game in general? Like,
So,
give me a short story long.
Yeah, there was a friend of mine that I played basketball with, Stuart Compton. He had a startup. He had like 12 or so employees working for a place called Truck XL, which later became Auto Customs, which is now Real Truck.
That was here in Ocala, right?
Here in Ocala.
Okay.
And he convinced me to skip out on getting my bachelor's and to go work for him, just saying I would learn a lot more working and getting my hands dirty there
true.
at Searchalytics or at Truck XL.
Came back around to bite you down the road, but we'll get to that.
Yes, so it was really great. At first, I didn't know what I was going to do. I started out as a content writer / videographer / photographer because I had a background in TV production from high school. And so I started making the first videos. And what this company was, so they sell truck accessories online, an automotive e-commerce company. Didn't have any brick and mortar presence, so it was all online. So I started out there, and then a couple months in, it was like, hey, I need you to learn SEO. So my first search was like, okay, what is SEO? And I started learning that. I caught on with what was SEO Moz at the time and following different people that were influencers in SEO and just started learning nights and weekends.
Real quick for everyone listening,
Yep.
What does SEO stand for?
Search engine optimization. It's basically getting your website to rank for everything that can drive you business. And so that's what we did over the course of almost a decade there. We grew it to, tons and tons of visitors. The website had tens of millions of pages, and it was about 8 different websites actually. And we were profitably spending over $2 million a month in advertising
Which
spend.
absolutely blows my mind.
Yeah.
Like, especially because we just met last week and we talked about, okay, now stepping up the game to like a few grand a month just to see.
Right.
And here you guys are spending millions of dollars a month. Like, that blows my mind. But it works as long as what you're making outspends the clicks, right? As long as the ROI is there, you can continue to scale it.
Essentially, yeah. With all e-commerce clients, there's a few key metrics, and conversion rate's one of them. So obviously, being able to buy the traffic on the Google Ads side and improving quality score to a point where you can earn your traffic at a smaller amount than your competitors provides a competitive advantage on the buying traffic side of things. And then obviously another key component would be actually buying the products or sourcing the products cheaper than competitors. But we try to provide that competitive advantage on the Google Ads side where everything is, getting to the website as cheaply as possible.
Right. So you scale that up, it's rocking and rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened next?
So, all right, I'll back up a couple of years there. So Stuart sold the company.
Right.
And
got to an exit that we all try to get to, right?
Yeah.
That's the end goal, unless you want to keep operating. Like, your end goal should try to be to exit of some sort, right? So he exited, he pieced out.
Yep. And then it just became super corporate pretty quick, like really quick. It became really corporate. Eventually, February-ish, I think 2019, I got fired. It was really surprising. I had no idea it was coming.
Didn't you say it was because you didn't have a degree too? Or that was like one of the things?
They certainly put that on people, for sure.
Really?
I wasn't told specifically why.
What it was? Okay.
But yeah, it was a shock. Had a couple young kids at the time, 1 and 3, so it's like, oh dang, it's time to get a job now.
Scary, man.
Right.
That is so scary.
Yeah. So yeah, I was in the market immediately.
Right. And then how did you go from there to, you know what, I'm just going to do this myself?
Yeah. So
which is also a scary jump.
It was a big deal. It was scary, but so the week before I was fired, a friend of mine out of Ohio worked at an agency. He hit me up and we started talking. And I eventually started working there as a contractor right off the bat. And then they eventually hired me on full time. But they knew that I was working on Searchalytics and growing locally. That's really the focus of Searchalytics, is to help local businesses dominate their local market through ads, SEO, and web design. And it really started taking off. And after about 8 months or so, I was able to leave Interact One and focus full time on Searchalytics.
Your own thing.
Because we had growth that was really consistent and good. And that agency that I left to work for eventually became a client, and we do all their stuff too.
Keep growing that one, which is absolutely insane. And then so you've just been growing ever since?
Yep. Yeah, we really have a focus on one industry at a time. Our goal, our desire is to grow as a national company, but we've really started here in Ocala.
On a local level.
On a local level. We've got some great case studies that we'll be building out pages and videos in the coming, well, first video should be out in a few weeks, but it'll be a case study on plumbing and how we're helping a local company just crush their competition locally.
Which their biggest problem, or one of their biggest problems, if I remember correctly, is also finding employees.
Staffing.
Which we've talked about this on other podcasts. No one can find workers right now.
And that should be coming to an end soon, hopefully.
Side note, I was in the UPS store today, and a guy walked in. He's like, I need to fax this unemployment sheet over. And I'm like, I was walking out the door, and I wanted to turn around and be like, hey, man, you don't have to do that. Let's take a walk down this plaza. There's a bunch of stores hiring, even Ollie's, the big one. Like, you don't have to file. It's right there. We'll cross the street. We'll go to the mall. Oh man. So yeah, they're struggling, but I think it's really cool what you're doing, because you're essentially going after. Everyone always thinks that like ads are, especially in today's like age, mostly just e-commerce. That's where everyone's kind of focusing. People kind of forgot like the mom and pop. Regular service locations and stuff like that. I'm kind of an oddball because I'm asking for you for help for the e-commerce side, although we've done some stuff for the store, which has been absolutely great. But you decided to go after literally those mom and pop service shops where everyone else had kind of forgotten them.
It'll really allow us to scale in a big way. So we have we have a lot of national clients, and those are great. I have experience in national. That's what I did before, and we're doing really great for those national clients in Google advertising, social ads, SEO, all that stuff. But local is where we plan to really scale and build out our team and build out our marketing strategy for our internal brand.
So like your local plumber business that's trying to, gain a niche in just that man, I'll tell you what, if I had to only focus on just like a county or a small region, I feel like life would be so much easier.
Yeah.
Some of your clients, like they literally only have to focus on like, if I can just win Marion and Alachua in maybe Sumter County, like they'll have more business than they ever know what to do with.
Exactly.
Which blows my mind. But that also, like you said, allows you to kind of scale a little bit. So let's do this. Down the road, if you want to come back on, I'd love to get more detailed in like actual actionable steps. But let's talk, like if this is the only one that you can come on to, let's talk about, let's say Joe Plumber. Right, he just opened up his business. Maybe he has a few employees, and this doesn't have to be super like detailed because I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. We didn't talk about this, but like Joe Plumber, what are the few things that he needs to be looking out for to build his customer base in, let's say, like a 50 square mile radius? Because he only has a few employees, he can only do so much. What are some actionable things that he can do by himself, and then he calls Searchalytics and it takes it to the next level?
For sure, yeah. One of the first things we do right off the bat is optimize the Google My Business. If you don't know what that is, that's your account with Google. You just go to it, google.com/business. It's what pops up in the local pack of the results.
That's absolutely free to do too, isn't it?
It's free, yeah. And it's really tell Google what you do. They don't know. Like if you are a plumber and you install water softeners, like you have to say that, or else you will get no business. It's all about relevancy to the query. So if you think about all the different ways people search for what you provide, optimize your Google My Business services for that with detailed descriptions.
Okay.
And that's a great way to go. And then we start out next with listing builder. That means so making sure your name, address, and phone number is accurate and matches on everything, whether it's a Yelp listing, Google, Bing, BMW Maps, everything, making sure that is accurate. So if you think about Google, they're trying to algorithmically rank you, and if they have a low trust because your name of your business or your phone number mismatches on 3 or 4 different things because you've moved over the years, that's a problem.
Which reminds me, we really need to go back and do that for the store. Actually, I just thought about that because we just moved last year.
We did that.
Oh, we did do that?
Yeah.
Okay, I missed it because you guys are just that good, and it keeps going. Maybe that's why I don't have any issues anymore.
Right.
Because people were like, I went to your old store, or like, what was really bad is we had 2 listings on Google at one point that like were at the same place but not at the same place, and it was a pain. So okay, so you go into Google My Listing, you take care of that, add some good descriptions, some good pictures too, right?
The listing, what's nice about our software for Searchalytics is that the name, address, phone number is managed in one place.
Right.
So that's great. Instead of going to your 80 different places to update that. And then after that, set a competitive target for reviews. That's really important. So that's part of your reputation online, is having good, consistent reviews. And if your top competitor has 80 and you have 40, 90 should be your target. Beat them to 90, and then you'll start seeing a change in how many leads you get.
So that really matters then. I mean, obviously high reviews matter because at the end of the day, like when people look at and for those not going, Dylan, what we can do is we can actually put an overlay on this video of like the panel that Brian's talking about on Google. And I'll show you that too if you're not 100% positive. But those reviews matter because people look at it and they look at the reviews. But what you're saying actually, which I didn't realize this, is if you have more reviews at a higher ranking than somebody else, you'll pop up before that other person.
Yeah, I feel like
to a degree.
Yeah, Google's algorithm is like
constantly changing.
Obviously constantly changing and secretive. They're not going to tell you. But I think if Google is trying to rank the best business because they want to provide good results,
right?
Reviews matter. So having great reviews is one of the top things that you can do to stand out and earn more clicks, but then also Google's gonna trust you more and reward you with more leads.
Okay. And then next step, I'm kind of just like working down the lines of what I'm thinking may work. We have the Google, we've got that all set up. Does social matter as much as people think it does?
Social
Does,
matters.
Like, Facebook matter, all that?
Social matters some, and Google My Business along the same lines. Like when you're adding social images of, hey, this great plumbing job that you did that you're proud of, or you installed something at a farm, or you just installed water softener and the wife is super happy, which is what happened to me last week. Like Google wants to see the Google My Business is just as social is, where it's a living, breathing thing. So you're constantly updating, adding images, adding posts, responding to reviews as promptly as possible, and social's the same way. Like you can get reviews on your Facebook business page, and responsiveness matters there too.
Yeah, I'm really bad at that, but I'm just running out of time. I know I should probably go back and like hit all those reviews and like thank them or something along those lines.
Definitely.
Okay, let's try to knock out the few other things. Do websites matter that much? Like,
really depends on the business, honestly.
Okay. What about for Joe Plumber? Let's say if we stick on Joe Plumber, do you think something like that matters, or do you think you could do a ton of business just off of Google, like My Business and stuff?
You can do a lot of business just on Google My Business.
That's awesome.
And ranking locally. But yeah, a website does matter in terms of professionalism. Now, a website could hurt too. If you have a website and you're Joe Plumber and your website is a terrible experience,
right?
That might be a negative to have a
Which
website.
a lot of them, I mean, you see way more than I do. A lot of websites are still super dated, aren't
They're
they?
terrible. It's one of
Even
those
new
things
ones
where
are terrible.
I just have to be honest with people that come to me to spend Google ad dollars, which I'm just not comfortable with if your website is terrible, because it's just going to be an awful experience. So really, 80% of the time, we have to build one of these local clients a new site before we're comfortable sending ads to it.
Because otherwise, it's just wasted dollars.
Yep.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, and that's really what we learned from the e-commerce side of things, and that differentiates us from a lot of our competitors, because they're talking about clicks and impressions when those are really secondary, maybe third, fourth tier metrics compared to revenue, which is what we had to focus on, not having brick and mortar as an e-commerce company. So to be successful and to drive profitable ad dollars, we had to be able to calculate return on ad spend and all that stuff. So we do it for small businesses too.
The same way.
Yeah.
If you had to, like in your best 1 or 2 minutes explanation, explain the difference between pay-per-click and SEO, because I know working with you for so long, both are so important, but in their own different ways. And I think oftentimes people like me, just starting businesses, just starting e-commerce stuff, they start Googling, and there's so many gurus out there that are like, oh, I'll fix your SEO, or oh, don't worry about SEO, only like, I hate gurus, and they're just trying to sell you a course ultimately, right? But like only focus on pay-per-click and you can scale and blah, blah, blah. If you could give me like pros and cons of each, and why like you may focus on one in the short term versus one in the long term, etc. Because I know one's more of a long term game, right?
Yeah, we sell it as SEO is the apple tree. It's what you plant, and then you get compounding growth over time, where you might invest the same, whatever, $350 a month, and then over time that is going to pay off in a compounding way. But it does take time. That is the long game, to rank for all those terms that drive you business and beat out your competitors for it.
And that's free search too. A lot of people don't understand that. So what he's talking about is like when you Google something, let's say you sell widget A and you Google widget A, right? Everyone will see this, like the first few highlighted ones, it'll usually say ad, right? And then right after those few ads, that starts the regular non-pay-per-click ones. And that's where SEO gets you, right? So the better your SEO, which is the better your keywords and all that, will get you higher in those pages, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And then we sell PPC or Google ads, Bing ads as the apple tree that you can you can buy apples right at your grocery store. They're going to always cost the same, which isn't quite true. Obviously, there's inflation. It's an auction, just like inflation can, mess up the market of certain products. But so you can go basically and if you want to rank number 1 for plumbers near me, you can with
you can pay for it.
ad dollars. Yeah, you pay for it, and then you need to be able to obviously calculate, all right, how much is a lead worth? How are the leads doing? What's the quality? How do I improve on that over time? But
does that actually generate revenue that generates a profit, or am I just, if you're spending $500 in ads, but you're only getting $200 in service calls out of it, then you need to fix something.
Exactly.
Somewhere.
And then the one thing that I like to coach people on is that SEO and PPC, they're not your business. They can make you amazing, but they should be supplemental to other efforts like networking and different things that you can do to make your brand known around town.
Interesting. My mom's in one of those crews, and she's like, you need to come hang out. I don't have time for that guy.
I'm gotta make time.
I'm like, why? You're there. What's the difference? You're there. Same business. You represent us. But I know you're in like at least one,
yep,
right?
I'm in BNI. We have another person in the company in a different BNI chapter, and that's been great for business.
For you, I mean, if you can just point to a few people, you can be like, guys, this is a no-brainer.
But it expands your network. So you're dealing with other business owners who are also part of conversations that if they hear somebody that needs a website built or they need to grow their digital presence, they refer them to me, and that's where the value is really at.
Really? So just to make sure we're clear, spend money on PPC so you can know where you're going, but don't think that that's going to be an ever-loving tree. You should also be spending money and putting focus to SEO, right?
Sort of. Google is really oddly good at making money. The advertising dollars is 96 or 97% of their revenue, so they're gonna get theirs. So
no matter what,
really,
okay. Well,
you need to be good at both.
Okay.
Really, if you're profitable at both, that makes it harder for a competitor to come up and be able to compete with you, because then they've got to do all the work that you've done.
And they can't just spend you out of.
Right.
Somebody comes in with a ton of VC money behind you, and they can just spin ads until you run out of money. Then they're on top.
Right.
Wouldn't we love to be there?
Yep. Yeah. So really, if you're winning on the paid side, where you're buying the traffic for less than your competitors, and then you're also converting people at a higher rate, meaning you're turning those leads into jobs, then you're going to win. And it's going to be harder and harder to beat you out over time.
Right. Dang. Good stuff. Dylan, am I missing anything? No? Think I hit it? Yeah. Okay, so say Joe Plumber's listening to this and they're like, that all sounds great, but that's not what I do, right? I know you're in the state, but are you already starting to branch out outside of the state? I know you have some few national ones. Would you entertain anyone anywhere else?
Oh yeah, we have clients all over the country.
So how can they reach you?
So yeah, me, Brian at Searchalytics.com, Brian with an I, or that's my email, or you can just fill out the contact form.
We'll float both his email and the link as well. That way they can find you. You never know. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
it's
appreciate
quick and
it.
easy.
It's fun. Love to do it again.
It's simple. Cool. And what I'd love to do in the future is try to like dig in deeper. Like we'll choose one topic and try to dive in for 12 to 15 minutes of like, this is what you should actually be looking for pay-per-click, or this is what you should be looking for. So good stuff, man. I appreciate it. It's hot in here. It's afternoon. We're going to go home, all of us, right? Are you done with your day?
Yep, I'm
kind
done.
of. All right. So we're going to get out of here, and we will catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching, listening, both. See you guys next time.